Thank you. Wajumbe wa Azimio, hamjambo? Hamjambo tena? Azimio? 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 Asanteni sana. I am very delighted to have opportunity to talk to our members of parliament at this moment in time. Now, I have some notes which I put together that I want to refer to first, and then after that I'm going to talk to you from my heart. But I was saying here that we meet at a strange time in the country. It's also a trying time. At the start of this regime, we did not only warn about its illegitimacy, we also warned that there's real risk of the country going back to the old order. The old gains we have made over the years completely rolled back. It has come too soon. Kenya is clearly on the path to the past. So when people talk of crisis, the crisis is not in Azimio or in this meeting. The crisis is out there with the legitimate Kenya Kwanza regime and the heavy yoke the regime is putting on the people of Kenya. We are therefore to consolidate our resolve to fight for the people of Kenya. We have a choice that we have to make going into the coming weeks and months. On the one hand, we are told elections are over and we should accept the outcome and move on. On the other hand, some of us believe the elections may be over, but there remains serious wrongs to be made right if future elections have to have any meaning and purpose. We choose to fight, and I want to believe that in you here, I see warriors ready for the battle ahead. There are many freedoms we have to fight for on behalf of Kenyans. Today, I want to interest you in just two. One is the two freedoms we have to prioritize. The two are the ones which we want to prioritize in this period. First, there is social and economic freedom of the people of Kenya. Kenyans are hurting. They demand and deserve economic justice. Secondly, electoral freedom. The electoral justice that will ensure the votes the people of Kenya cast during elections are counted and are respected. We believe that social and economic justice goes hand in hand with the struggle for electoral justice. They care about statistics. How much money has been collected in taxes? How much loan the people have taken? The percentage at which the economy is growing. Illegitimate regimes don't realize that behind those statistics, there are real human beings bearing a yoke they do not deserve and cannot survive. That is where we are today with Kenya Kwanza. It is about statistics, not the people. Kenyans deserve a government that understands that the people are hungry and angry, that people need jobs, that people need wage increases to be able to live with dignity, that people need better prospects for the future. Kenyans want and deserve to live well and eat well. They want good and well-paying jobs, and they want their salaries to be constantly adjusted above the inflation. I know No nation in history that has ever put up with such a huge tax burden as Kenyans are bearing today and survived. Kenyans now work for taxes. Tax now comprises close to half of the prices of goods our people buy. And I give an example. Today, if you pay 100 shillings for water, 70 shillings of that money is tax. Kenyans need justice on taxation front, and we're the only people to take up this battle. We must force an end to taxation policies that place heavier tax burden on the middle class and the extreme poor, while those to the administration easily avoid taxes and are reimbursed their proceeds through proceeds of crime. We must lead Kenyans to demand social and economic justice predicated on access to jobs, a fair minimum wage, a free education for all our children, in addition to abolition of punitive taxes. The country is crying for social programs that can lift the people from poverty. We cannot accept as normal that millions of our people have nothing to eat and that their poverty is being weaponized and politicized to give legitimacy to a rudderless and illegitimate regime. The time has come for the full implementation of social and economic aspects of the Bill of Rights in our Constitution, and we must lead that push. Kenyans deserve some guaranteed minimum income during these tough times. The social protection programs, which guarantee a basic monthly income, must be reinstated and expanded. In our push for social and economic justice for the people of Kenya, we must also strongly oppose plans to sell off state-run parastatals and ensure these entities serve the public good rather than lining the pockets of individuals in government. With regard to electoral justice, we must return this country to the ideal that the government is beholden to the people, that it has no other source of power except the people. The people express their preferences through the ballot, and that the preferences made at the ballot must be respected. As I have said before, Kenya has become a laboratory for bad election practices that others borrow around the continent. An organized elite keen to protect narrow selfish interests has forged strategic alliances and captured strategic systems and institutions with the sole purpose of subverting the substance of elections. As a result, the majority is at the mercy of the minority with regard to free, fair, transparent, and credible elections. People wake up at dawn, stand in long queues to cast their ballots, but they end up with the results that indicate their votes were not counted and did not count. Economic and electoral justice must be seen to be intertwined. We must pursue them with the resolve, the courage, the sense of urgency, and the faith that they deserve, and we must do it now. Soon it will be too late. I've finished those notes. Then now, I want to now add a few points. First of all, what Professor Adams Olo mentioned to you people, and also what my other three brothers here have talked about. One, I want to begin to tell you here that nobody has asked for, and there will be no handshake. They've kept on talking wherever they go, oh, these people are doing this because they want to be called for handshake and so on. You have not asked anybody for handshake, and we don't want any handshake. What we are talking about is we're doing this in the interest of this country. In the last elections, we negotiated with Honorable Uhuru Kenyatta, and what we agreed on was put in a memorandum of understanding, which we made public on the day of the handshake. And that is what informed the decision to set up a task force which came up with the BBI. That was the basis of the handshake. We then, as the opposition, never had any position in government. We did not even appoint a CS, not even a minister. So there's been a propaganda which has been spread by this team of Kenya Kwisha that we were responsible for the problems within Jubilee government. We never had a say in the Jubilee government. We never had anybody appointed even as a head of parastatal in the Jubilee government. Not even a permanent secretary in the Jubilee government. We have never had. They are the ones who are in government, the ones who are living there, earning a salary, having protection of security and so on, and yet they come out to the government and saying that the government had failed. If it failed, they were part and parcel of that failure, not us. Now, those who have spoken before have given you historical background to political development in our country from independence to where we are. We had a multi-party system at independence. We had KANU and KADU and APP. Eventually, KADU and APP dissolved and joined KANU. They all joined KANU without having to go for any by-elections. They just walked across the aisle from one side to the other side. But later on, when there was now internal contradictions within KANU, then they came up with a constitutional amendment that required that if you left the party that sponsored you into parliament and you resign from that party, then you have to go back for a by-election, a re-election, to seek the mandate. That existed at the period when they had the KPU. Then, after KPU was banned, we had now a de facto one-party state, de facto, from 1969 to 1982, when they came up with another amendment that made the country now a de jure single party. Now you either are a member of just KANU, that's the only when you can be elected. And if you were suspended or expelled from the party, you automatically lost your parliamentary seat. And by-election was held in your constituency. That went on until we put pressure for repeal of Section 2A and allowing for formation of other political parties, which we achieved in 1991. After that, we had the first multi-party elections in 1992. And then we went into parliament. We had KANU, Ford Kenya, Ford Asili, and the DP. We had also Kenya Social Congress of the late George Anyona. After the swearing in, the swearing in and the election of the Speaker, before Parliament was officially inaugurated by the President, some members defected. One from Port Kenya, one from the DP. And this now occasioned a by-election. They were defecting to the ruling party, to KANU. But the requirement is that if you defect from the party that sponsored you in the parliament, you have to go for a by-election. And we have by-elections in Migori, and in Bonchari. Later on, we had by-elections in Lugari, when Apili Wawire, the MP, then defected. There was also a by-election in Hamisi, when the Member of Parliament, the late Mr. Haniri, defected. Later on, we had by-elections in Ikolomani, in Lurambi, in Shinyalu, when members there defected. We had also by-elections in Dhiwa and Nyatiki constituency. Each time a member of parliament left the party that sponsored them to parliament, they had to resign and go and seek fresh mandate. That was the rule. I myself resigned from the party that had sponsored me into elections for Kenya when we disagreed irreparably with the leadership. I resigned and went and sought a fresh mandate from the people of Lang'at, and I was re-elected. This was the situation during all that period of time until now we came to 2010 Constitution. The 2010 Constitution now created a presidential system of government. But all the same, it says clearly that Kenya is a multi-party democracy. Kenya is a multi-party democracy. A multi-party democracy, mature multi-party democracies, there's nothing like defection. US, you see a situation like the last time, there was only one member difference between the Republicans and the Democrats. But the situation where a member of a Democrat would defect to go and join Republicans is unthinkable. There are very few cases in history. It will not work. In the UK, it's unthinkable that a member of the Labour Party will defect and join the Tories. It does not happen. It does not happen. You are elected on this party's mandate and you remain the member of that party unless you are expelled from the party. You remain a member of the party. In the German parliament, the same. You are a Christian Democrat, a Christian Socialist, you are a Social Democrat, and so on and so forth. This is the direction we must go in this country. We have had coalitions, a pre-election coalition because of the presidential nature of our system here. But you are elected as a member of a party which is a member of a coalition. A member of a party which is a member of the coalition, the party should not actually resign, it should not leave the coalition. That because as you're going to the people, you are going with a mandate, you are going with the manifesto of the coalition. And you are being elected on the basis of the manifesto of that party. It is very cheap and principled for a political party to say, after the elections, you're now resigning and now going to join another coalition, the one actually you ran against. That is political prostitution. No basis at all. On what basis did UDM resign from Azimio to go the other side, even before the speaker had been elected, even before members had been sworn in? What was it that was now more attractive in Kenya Kwanza than in Azimio? Merely because of political expediency. Political prostitution is something that must stand condemned by all civilized Kenyans. Then now the so-called Kenya Kwanza is being proud that they are majority. It's an artificial majority because the people they have here have not gone to ask the people who elected them whether they want to go to Kenya Kwanza. They are going there, they're going and voting with the people against whom their own elected voted. They were elected against those people. So now Mr. Ruto is enjoying an artificial majority which does not deserve. And therefore we do not respect any laws that are passed by that artificial majority. Now we come to voting in Parliament. You see what Kenya Kwanza is trying to do is to abuse the so-called artificial majority to change the laws of the country, very fundamental laws. You have a situation where you find that I don't want to call him president, the head of the executive, is writing to the speaker for the speaker to initiate a legislation that will end up with creating a position of a leader of official opposition. Now, ordinarily, first, the president cannot initiate a constitutional amendment. That was even the ruling of the Supreme Court. Secondly, the speaker does not originate legislation. The speaker sits there and waits for laws to be brought, the bills to be brought to him. Usually, if the government wants any legislation, first there must be a cabinet memorandum. That matter is discussed in the cabinet. The cabinet then approves it. It goes to the Attorney General, who then now complete the bill. The draft bill which has passed by the cabinet is then given to the leader majority, who now comes and tables it before the House. That is how the civilized parliament work. So this law, which is supposed to be initiated by the president through the speaker, is null ab initio, null and void, and should not be accepted by parliament. And our advice is that our members of parliament should not accept to deliberate the legislation. The other one is saying that these members who have defected from Azimio coalition need to resign their positions and go. Then secondly, you see a new dangerous phenomenon developing, that members of parliament are approaching the executive supposedly for development in their constituencies. Under our current constitutional dispensation, the resources are being actually allocated by parliament. Parliament is the one that the executive comes with a budget proposal to parliament. Parliament looks at those budget proposals and then agrees on how to allocate resources. So the days when members of parliament used to go and see Mtukufu Rais Nyayo, ati ulituahidia sisi utaleta mradi ya maji hapa, utajenga local housing hii hapa, barabara hii itatengenezwa, kwenda piga magoti chini kwa rais alete maendeleo, imekwisha. That era is gone. You don't need. If you want to go and see Mr. President as a personal friend in State House, go. But if you want to go and talk about issues that affect the party, then you must give him permission by the party before you go to see the president. What you see, these people must be seen for what they are, traitors in the cause of a revolution. We are in the course of a very serious issue. What we have through here is the course to bring the people of Kenya at the center of development of our country, and also to get electoral justice. They have said these people are not fair losers. But I want to tell you, and they're saying, oh, Baba had allowed people to go and meet with the president here and there. Now he's saying he does not recognize the government. No, what I've said, I never said that I was recognizing the government even at that time. But that was a time also before the whistleblower came out with a glaring evidence, which we also had ourselves. That evidence was available to us. But the whistleblower came out as an insider and came out with irrefutable evidence of the rigging of the elections. That information which is there, I want to invite you to know, is information that is verifiable. We had ourselves also hired an expert from outside the country. You will remember we were in the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court, our lawyers demanded that we be allowed access to the server so that we can be able to get authentic information. The Supreme Court said they agreed, but the collusion of one of the judges who was in charge of the ICT, the registrar did not allow our people access to the server. Our experts were there. A letter came from the company that was offering providing the services, Smartmatics, saying that they cannot allow access to the server because that will infringe on their proprietary rights. Here is a company hired by the government, paid to provide the technical services for the country. And there's a dispute over the results. And one of the parties to the dispute is asking to be allowed access to the server, because that is where the information went. And the company is refusing to allow us access to the server. And then later on, the Supreme Court comes out and saying, we do not have a case. Now, I think it is important for me to point out to the members here, the structure that was in place on the 9th of August, when Kenyan people went to vote. That structure you had what you call the Kim's system. The voters were being identified biometrically. And after they've been identified, they're being given ballot papers to go and cast. At the end of the day, these ballot papers were being counted. And after they've been counted, then the presiding officer at the polling station would enter them in a form that they call Form 34A. That 34A will be completed. Then the presiding officer would sign. And then the agent would countersign. Then the presiding officer would announce the results publicly. And then he would scan those results and press a button to transmit to the server. Then he would paste a copy of the results in a wall somewhere. Then he would go with that Form 34A to the tallying center, constituency tallying center, where there's a returning officer. The presiding officer will come with Form 34A there. And the returning officer will receive 34As. And then it would be added. This is now on Form 34B. They will be added, and after they will be added, you will sign with this ID number, telephone number. Then the agent of the parties will countersign. Then he will stamp the IB stamp. Then he will announce the results. And then he would again scan and transmit. Those are the results which are authentic. Now, the information available in the whistleblower's report there has authentic original results from 245 constituencies. Original, with the IEBC stamp, with the signature of the returning officers, countersigned by party agents, with then ID numbers and their telephone numbers. And there is a barcode also there. That barcode, if you scan, tells you the location, the date, the time when that transmission was done. It cannot be copied. It's authentic. So I want you to know that the report in the IBC whistleblower is authentic report. Authentic information. It shows that at 245 constituencies. Mr. William Ruto got 4.6 million votes. And we got 7.1 million votes. If you add the 45 which were not transmitted electronically, where the returning officers came with the physical forms to IBC Center at Bomas. If you take those results and now add up 245 plus 45, that's 290 constituencies, plus the diaspora, then Mr. William Ruto gets 5.9 million votes, and we get 8.1 million votes. A difference of 2.2 million votes. That is authentic. Cannot be denied, cannot be contradicted. The IBC cannot contradict it. They're just now saying somebody must have probably get crashed in there and got information. That's the investigation they're doing. But they will not come out and say this is not authentic information. And that's why we're saying if you're denying, let us have an independent institution like the Commonwealth or the AU to come and access the server and audit it. Audit the server. But on the basis of that information, we are saying, it's not that we are lamenting. If this matter is not rectified, what would be the reason for Kenya to wake up again in 2027 to go to an election? If at the end of it, one madman called Wafula Chebuikati, or who has been paid, comes out and says, I'm the returning officer, I'm the one who has been gazetted, I'm therefore the one with the results. Because what happened on that day? Wafula Chebuikati left Bomas of Kenya at 5 a.m. claiming that he was tired, he was going to rest. By that time, there were still 29 constituencies left which had not been tallied. He did not come back. By the time he came back at 2 o'clock, he called these commissioners and says that he has got the final results. They asked him, where did you get the results? We have been waiting for you here. Oh, my staff have already tabulated. They say, but how can we? We cannot be part of it because we are still waiting to tally the other constituencies. He says, no, I'm the returning officer. Now the returning officer is going with the two other commissioners to make an announcement. Now you have a commission of 7 members. That commission could not be 6 members. It cannot be 2 members. It cannot be 4. It cannot be 8. It cannot be 10. It has been an odd number. That's why there were 7. There could be 9. Now, 4 out of 7, majority say no. 3 say yes. And this is upheld by the Supreme Court. Something must be seriously wrong with our nation here today. Because you need to go with the majority opinion. There was a dispute over the results which were announced by Mr. Wafula Chebuikati. So we are saying that these matters must be corrected. These matters must be corrected before Kenyans can even think of going for an election. And we are saying that this regime is an illegitimate regime. And that's why I've said, this is the time for politics. You will be told the time for politics is over. Now it's time for development. I believe I'm addressing a team of politicians. If there's a time for politics is over, there's no job for members of parliament. Because that is what you're doing, that's what you're paid for. You're politicians. That's why you're in parliament. And politics and development are intertwined. Politics and development are intertwined like 2 mating dogs. Someshikana. Someshikana. This is what you're paid for. You're paid to politic. You're paid to politic. You cannot, if the time for politics is over, then close parliament and let the bureaucrats continue doing the development. The work of politicians is to politic, and politics is development. And that's why there's no need for politicians to go and beg the executive for development. That is the right of the people of Kenya. People of Kenya pay taxes. They pay taxes, and that's why it should not be like as if it is a generosity of the president that you're going to get roads. That's because of the president is considerate, you're going to get water. You're going to get health centers. You're going to get affordable housing scheme. That is why you go to national government with a clear mandate, and you also have county government with a clear mandate. And our party, our movement must be seen to be defending devolution. Devolution is an outcome of a very lengthy process. And there are very many people who opposed devolution. They didn't want it. So we must insist. These people had said that we are going to go to 35%. Now they're not even able to give 15%. So Parliament, both Senate and the National Assembly, must stand up and defend the county government.